Everyone said I had lost. I stayed quiet. 5 years later, when my sister lost her job, she came to me for help, and I did the one thing my family never imagined. Everyone said I had lost. Mom said that at Thanksgiving dinner. The whole family was sitting around the table. My younger sister Lauren looked at me, held back a laugh, and lifted her glass of wine. 5 years later, that same Lauren was standing in my office lobby. Her job was gone. Her eyes were red. And she said to me, "Paya, please, help me." I looked at her. I closed the lid on my coffee. And I did the one thing my family never imagined I would do. I said, "Sit down. Tell the truth first. My name is Maya Collins." I was 34 years old then. I had my own consulting firm in Austin, Texas. Small but solid. I read numbers. I caught problems in contracts. I could also smell a lie before most people had finished telling it. My sister Lauren was 31. Pretty, loud, and the permanent princess of the family. According to Mom, she was soft-hearted. In reality, she was only soft when it benefited her. My mom, Patricia Collins, was 61. She went to church, spread gossip, and called every injustice a family matter. Dad, Michael Collins, was 64. A quiet man. Always hiding behind a newspaper. His favorite sentence was, "Let's not make a scene." My brother Ethan was 38. A real estate agent. He saw a deal in everything. To him, even family was an investment. And Lauren's boss, Rebecca Sloan, was 45. Sharp suit, sharp tongue, expensive perfume. She was the woman who had fired Lauren. Or at least that was what everyone thought. Everything ended at Thanksgiving in 2019. The turkey had burned at Mom's house. The smoke alarm was going off in the kitchen. Ethan pushed his chair back and said, "Classic Mom." Mom looked at me. "Maya, why aren't you helping?" I put my fork down. "I made the stuffing." Lauren laughed. "Store-bought stuffing doesn't count as making it." I stayed quiet. Mom changed the subject. Lauren got promoted. Everyone clapped. Dad said, "Proud of you, sweetheart." I said it too. "Congrats." Lauren looked at me. "Thanks. Some people actually get ahead through hard work." Ethan said, "Some people just complain." I took a sip of water. Was that for me? Lauren shrugged. "If the shoe fits." The table went quiet. Then Mom said the sentence. "Maya, you always think everything is a competition. Everyone said you had lost, but you just don't accept it. Lauren simply handled life better." I looked at Mom. "Who said I lost?" Mom folded her napkin. "People talk." "What people?" Ethan laughed. "Come on. After your divorce, you moved back into an apartment. You left your job too." "I resigned from my job." Lauren jumped in. "Because they were going to fire you." "That was a lie. A clean lie." I looked at her. "Who told you that?" Lauren smiled. "Everybody knows." Dad picked up his newspaper. A newspaper at the Thanksgiving table. That was Dad. I stood up. Mom said, "Don't make a scene." I said, "I'm not making a scene. I'm leaving." Lauren raised her glass. "Run, Maya. That's what you do." I reached the door. Mom's voice came from behind me. "One day you're going to need your family." I grabbed the handle. Stopped. Turned. And said, "No. One day this family is going to need me." They laughed. All of them laughed. Dad didn't laugh. But he didn't say anything either. 5 years passed. I stopped talking to them. I didn't block them. I just stopped responding. Birthday texts came. I didn't send heart emojis back. Christmas cards came. I threw them in the trash. I started my firm. The first year I took losses. The second year rent was hard. The third year a medical chain gave me a contract. The fourth year I got an office. By the fifth year I had a team of 10 people. All my family knew was that I was freelancing. Because that was what Lauren told them. Then one Monday morning my receptionist came over the intercom and said, "Maya, there's a woman here. Says she's your sister." I looked at the camera feed on my screen. Lauren was standing in the lobby. Beige coat. Messy hair. No makeup. For the first time she didn't look expensive. I came out. She spoke immediately. I didn't know where else to go. I said, "Hello to you too." He looked around. Glass walls. Logo. Staff. A client sitting in the conference room. She said quietly, "This is yours." "Yes." She went silent. I said, Why are you here? She pressed her lips together. Rebecca fired me. So go to HR. HR is with her. Get a lawyer. I don't have money. I didn't laugh. But my eyes held the same coldness her voice had held 5 years earlier. Mom. Mom says you can help. Of course. Now Mom remembers me. Lauren lowered her head. Aya, please. I said, Conference room B. She sat down. She took a glass of water in her hand. Her hands were shaking. I closed the door. Start. She said, Rebecca accused me of misusing client funds. What did you do? Nothing. Don't lie. I swear. You can swear and lie at the same time. You've had that skill since childhood. She flinched. I know I was awful. Not awful. Deliberate. She went quiet. I opened my laptop. Company. Sloan and Mercer Events. Role. Senior Accounts Coordinator. Access. Vendor payments. Client deposits. Internal budgets. Amount. $280,000. I looked at her. Lauren. He started crying. I didn't take it. Evidence. Login records. My approval code. Emails from my account. So either you did it or someone framed you. She answered instantly. Framed. Who? Rebecca. Why? Because I found something. That was the first twist. I leaned back in my chair. What did you find? Lauren pulled a folded paper from her purse. Then she opened her phone. Screenshots. Vendor invoices. Duplicate companies. Same address. Different names. She said, Rebecca was creating fake vendors. She was taking full payment from clients. Then money was going to shell vendors. I noticed it. I asked her about it. The next week she fired me. I looked at the screenshots. When did you find this? 3 weeks ago. And the police? Rebecca filed a police report first. Against me. Lawyer. One wanted a $15,000 retainer. Mom. She said maybe I made a mistake and should apologize. I lifted my head. Mom said that. Lauren's voice broke. She said, don't make the family look worse. I tapped my finger against the glass table. The pattern was clear. Only this time I wasn't the target. I had been the outsider since childhood. Even got a bike. I was told, girls don't need to ride that far. Lauren got dance classes. I was told, you're practical. You'll be fine. Dad paid Ethan's college tuition. He paid Lauren's sorority dues too. I took out loans. When my marriage fell apart, Mom asked, what did you do? When my boss was toxic, Lauren said, maybe you're hard to manage. When I left my company, Ethan said, another emotional decision. They didn't want facts. They wanted roles. Lauren was the princess. Ethan was the golden boy. I was the problem. And now the problem had the solution. I said to Lauren, forward me everything. Original files. Emails. Calendar invites. Bank references. Slack messages. Don't delete anything. She said, will you help me? I said, I'll help the truth. Not you. He kept blinking at me. There's a difference, I said. It took 3 days. On the first day I matched the invoices. There were 3 fake vendors. Blue Ridge Floral, Marston Lighting and Cedar Lane Rentals. All 3 had a mailing address tied to the same storage unit. On the second day my analyst Priya traced the payment trails. The money went to the vendors first. Then into an LZ. Then into the renovation of Rebecca's husband's restaurant. On the third day I found the real bomb. The approvals made through Lauren's login had happened while Lauren was at a client site in Denver. Flight records existed. A hotel receipt existed. The approval IP address came from the Austin office. That meant someone had used her login. I called Lauren. Did you share your password? No. Ever. Silence. Lauren. Rebecca said she needed temporary access for emergency approvals. I closed my eyes. You gave your boss your password? She said everyone does it. Wrong answer. I was stupid. Finally. The truth. We made a plan. Not a lawsuit. Not first. Exposure first. Because Rebecca lived on public image. Charity galas. Brides magazine mentions. Perfect Instagram captions. I hired a forensic accountant. Former IRS guy. His name was Walter. 58 years old. Slow voice. Deadly brain. He said, "This is sloppy theft dressed as luxury." I said, "Can we prove it?" "Yes." Publicly. Carefully. Then I identified Sloan and Mercer's biggest client. Harrington Medical Foundation. Their gala was 2 weeks away. Budget. $1.2 million. Rebecca was scheduled to give a speech on stage. I asked Lauren, "Are you ready?" She said, "No." Good. Ready people get careless. The night of the gala, the hotel ballroom was packed. White flowers. Gold chairs. A photographer. A violinist in the corner playing the Titanic theme for the wrong kind of event. Lauren came in a black dress. Nervous. I wore a navy suit. Come. Rebecca walked onto the stage. At Sloan and Mercer, trust means everything. I looked at Lauren. She almost laughed. Then the screen blinked. After Rebecca's slide, a new slide appeared. Vendor Payment Review, Harrington Medical Foundation. The room went quiet. The projector remote was missing. The AV guy was panicking. Rebecca grabbed the microphone. "Excuse me, technical issue." I stood up. "Not technical." Everyone turned. Rebecca didn't recognize me. "Security." I said, "Pia Collins. Independent audit consultant. Your client hired my firm this morning." That was not a lie. I had gotten the Harrington board chair to sign the contract that same morning. How? Because of Dad. That was the second twist. 2 days earlier, Dad had come to my office. For the first time. Gray jacket. Old guilt. An envelope in his hand. He said, "I should have spoken 5 years ago." I said, "You didn't." I heard what Lauren said. "Then I saw your firm. I checked your work. Why are you here?" He placed the envelope on my desk. "The Harrington board chair is an old client of mine. I told him he should have you audit the event." "Why now?" Dad looked at me. "Because I spent my whole life sacrificing the truth to avoid a scene." "Not anymore." I opened the envelope. A referral letter. Dad said, "Lauren told a lot of lies about you. But she isn't a thief." "And me?" He said, "You were never a loser." That was it. After 5 years. It wasn't enough. But it was a start. Back in the ballroom, Rebecca's face had gone white. I showed the invoices on the screen. Fake vendor addresses. Duplicate approvals. IP logs. Transfer records. Restaurant renovation permits. Rebecca said, "This is confidential." I answered, "So is fraud." The Harrington board chair stood up. "Rebecca, step away from the microphone." Rebecca screamed, "Lauren did this." Lauren stood up. Her hands were shaking but her voice was steady. "No. You used my login." Rebecca laughed. "Prove it." I clicked to the next slide. Security camera still. At Lauren's desk. 11:42 p.m. The same night. The same approvals. Someone's phone rang in the room. Loud ringtone. Everyone ignored it. Rebecca looked at the screen. Then she looked at the exit. Too late. Harrington's lawyer said to her, "Don't leave." The next day the story was in the local business press. Event planner accused in vendor fraud scheme. Lauren's name had not been fully cleared yet. But the damage had shifted. A week later, Rebecca had not been arrested, but she was under investigation. Accounts were frozen. Clients ran. Sloan and Mercer collapsed. Lauren texted me. "Thank you." I didn't reply. Then Mom called. I answered. Mom was crying. "Maya, you saved your sister." I said, "I saved the truth. Can we have dinner? As a family?" I asked, "Do you remember the Thanksgiving table?" Silence. "You said I had lost." Mom said quietly, "I was wrong." I said, "Yes. Can you forgive me?" I looked out the window. Lauren was standing in the parking lot. She was looking at me. For the first time there was no demand on her face. Just waiting. I said to Mom, "Forgiveness is not a coupon you redeem during an emergency." Mom said nothing. I ended the call. 2 months later Lauren got a new job. Not at my firm. I didn't give her a reference either. I only gave her a certified copy of the investigation file. She went to the interview herself. She explained everything herself. She got hired herself. One evening she came to my office. this time with an appointment. She said, I told people lies about you. I said, yes. Mom too. Yes. I was jealous. I looked at her. Of what? You never had excuses, but you still kept getting back up. When I heard that, I said nothing. She said, I'm sorry. I asked, because you got caught? At first, yes. She paused. Now because I remember your face that Thanksgiving night. I placed my pen on the table. Good. Remember it. She left. We did not become best friends again. This was not a movie. Ethan called me greedy. Mom sent a Bible verse in the family group chat. I left the group. Dad comes by for coffee sometimes. We talk about the weather. Then taxes. Then sometimes we just sit quietly. Thanksgiving came again. This time I hosted dinner. The guest list was small. Dad came. Lauren came. Mom did not. Ethan did not. The turkey did not burn. There was no projector. No one gave speeches. After dinner, Lauren picked up the plates. Dad stood by the sink and said, let me help. I looked at both of them. 5 years earlier they had all laughed. 5 years later they were washing dishes in my kitchen. Did I get revenge? Yes. But not the way they thought I would. I didn't destroy Lauren. I destroyed her lies. I didn't beg Mom. I survived without her permission. I didn't punish Dad. I gave him one last chance to tell the truth. And when Lauren asked me for help, I didn't close the door. I only changed the price. In this house, entry is no longer granted through sympathy. It is granted through truth. And the truth came late. But it came. If this story touched your heart or made you think, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps us bring you more powerful, emotional stories like this every week. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next story.